Purple wigs, silver jumpsuits. A moon base run by women who looked like they walked off a fashion runway straight into space. UFO wasn't just a TV show. It was a fever dream wrapped in tinfoil and shot on a shoestring budget that somehow predicted the future. But behind the sleek sets and futuristic gadgets, nothing went according to plan. The star nearly quit after one episode. The studio ran out of money mid-season, and one prop, it was so dangerous they banned it from set after someone almost lost an eye. These are 20 weird facts about UFO. And the bonus? The show's cancellation had nothing to do with ratings and everything to do with a time slot war nobody saw coming. Interceptors launched. This gets strange fast. Number 1. Before the first episode aired, Gerry Anderson had a problem. He'd built his career on puppets, Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet, Stingray, all strings and miniatures, but UFO was different. This time, he wanted real actors, real faces, real drama. The studio didn't trust it. They told him puppet shows made money. Live action was risky, expensive, unpredictable. Anderson didn't back down. He'd been planning UFO since 1966, sketching moon bases and alien designs in notebooks while finishing his marionette shows. He pitched it as Thunderbirds for adults, a serious science fiction drama set in 1980. Network executives laughed. 1980 seemed impossibly far away. Who'd believe that future? But Anderson kept pushing, kept refining, until finally in 1969, they gave him the green light. 1 season, 26 episodes. Prove it works or go back to puppets. He assembled a crew, hired actors nobody had heard of, and started building a world that looked nothing like anything on television. Metallic corridors, computer panels with blinking lights, vehicles that moved like they weighed nothing. It was bold, it was expensive, and nobody knew if audiences would care. But Gerry Anderson bet his entire career on it. And when cameras rolled on episode 1, there was no turning back. Number 2. The purple wigs weren't a creative choice. They were a budget solution. Anderson wanted the moon base operatives to look futuristic, alien, different from anything viewers had seen. But costume design was bleeding money. The sets were expensive. The special effects ate through cash. So, when costume designer Sylvia Anderson, Gerry's wife at the time, proposed wigs instead of elaborate hairstyling, it seemed practical, cheap, reusable, striking. She picked purple because it photographed well under the harsh studio lights and looked otherworldly on screen. The actresses hated them. Gabrielle Drake, who played Lieutenant Gay Ellis, said the wigs were heavy, hot, and gave her headaches after 12-hour shoots. Dolores Mantes, playing Lieutenant Nina Barry, complained they slipped during action scenes. The wig caps were tight, uncomfortable, sometimes caused rashes. Between takes, the women would rip them off, desperate for air. But on camera, they looked perfect, cold, professional, futuristic. Critics mocked them. Fan mail mentioned them constantly. And decades later, those purple wigs became the most iconic image from the entire show. What started as a cost-cutting measure turned into a symbol of 1970s sci-fi ambition. Sylvia Anderson later admitted she never imagined they'd be remembered 50 years later. But in a show full of silver jumpsuits and transparent furniture, somehow it was the wigs that stuck, because sometimes the cheapest idea becomes the most unforgettable. Number 3. Ed Bishop almost walked away after filming the pilot. He'd been cast as Commander Ed Straker, the stoic leader of SHADO, Earth's secret defense organization. On paper, it seemed like a career-making role, lead actor in a primetime science fiction series. But the moment Bishop stepped onto set, he felt wrong. The character was cold, emotionless, distant. Bishop was a method actor who loved warmth and humor. Straker had neither. He told Gerry Anderson he didn't understand the role, didn't connect with it, didn't think he could sustain it for 26 episodes. Anderson didn't argue. He just told Bishop to trust the process, trust the scripts, trust that Straker's coldness had a reason. So Bishop stayed, and as filming progressed, he discovered something. Straker wasn't emotionless, he was damaged. A man who'd sacrificed everything, his marriage, his son, his humanity, to protect a planet that didn't even know he existed. That tragedy gave Bishop something to hold on to. He played Straker like a wound that never healed. a soldier fighting a war in silence. It worked. Straker became one of the most compelling characters in science fiction television. Haunted, lonely, relentless. But Bishop never forgot how close he came to quitting. Years later, he admitted Straker was the hardest role of his career, not because of the action or the dialogue, but because playing a man that broken took pieces of him he didn't know he had. Number 4. The opening titles almost killed the show before it started. Anderson wanted something bold, something that grabbed attention in the first 30 seconds. So they built a miniature plane, rigged it with explosives, and filmed it getting blown out of the sky in slow motion. The shot was perfect, spectacular, violent, expensive. But when the network saw it, they panicked. Too violent, they said. Too intense for a show airing at 8 p.m. Families would be watching, children would be traumatized. Anderson fought back. This is what alien invasion looks like, he argued. This is the stakes. If you want safe, hire someone else. The network didn't budge. They demanded cuts, re-edits, softer explosions. Anderson refused. For 3 weeks, production stalled, while lawyers, executives, and producers argued over 10 seconds of footage. Finally, a compromise. The explosion stayed, but the network moved the show to a later time slot, 9:30 p.m. Adults only. It seemed like a win until the ratings came in. The later slot killed viewership. Families had moved on. Kids were in bed, and UFO, a show designed to be accessible, ended up trapped in a time slot that guaranteed smaller audiences. That opening shot, the one Anderson fought so hard to keep, became the reason the show never found the audience it deserved. Sometimes the battles you win are the ones that cost you everything. Number 5. SHADO headquarters wasn't a set. It was a real location. Anderson scouted dozens of buildings before finding it. A massive film studio in Harlington, Middlesex. Disguised in the show as a working movie studio, the genius was in the hiding. In UFO, SHADO operates in secret beneath a fake film production company. Actors, cameras, scripts, all a front for the real work happening underground. And in real life, that's exactly what they were doing. Filming a television show on top of a television show. The studio had working offices, prop departments, editing bays. Cast and crew would pass actual film crews working on other projects, then descend into the SHADO sets built in the basement levels. It blurred the line between fiction and reality in a way that felt ahead of its time. Visitors to the studio never knew if they were watching UFO being made or if they had stumbled onto the set by accident. Even the cast got disoriented. Wanda Ventham, who played Colonel Virginia Lake, said she'd sometimes forget which floor was real and which was SHADO. The layers of deception built into the location gave the show a paranoid edge. Because if SHADO could hide in plain sight in the story, and the production was literally hiding in plain sight in real life, then maybe the fiction wasn't so far from truth. It was meta, before meta was a thing. And it gave UFO a texture, a realism, that no amount of special effects could match. Number 6. The show predicted mobile phones. In 1970, nobody carried phones in their pockets. Landlines ruled, payphones on every corner. But in UFO, characters walked around with handheld communication devices, portable radios that looked like slim rectangles with extending antennas. Props department built them from scratch. Custom designs based on military walkie-talkies, but smaller, sleeker. They didn't work, of course, just shells with lights and switches. But on screen, they looked real. And audiences noticed. Letters poured in asking where they could buy one. When would these devices be available? Were they military surplus? Anderson laughed. They were props, he explained. Fiction? Except they weren't. 20 years later, mobile phones exploded. Motorola, Nokia, everyone. And the designs, rectangular, antenna, handheld, looked almost identical to what UFO props department had invented in a basement studio. Engineers who worked on early mobile technology later admitted they watched UFO as kids. The show planted seeds, not intentionally, not as prediction, just as imagination. But imagination has a way of becoming blueprint. By the 1990s, UFO wasn't just a TV show. It was a time capsule of ideas that came true. The props didn't predict the future. They built it. And nobody on set in 1970 had any idea they were holding tomorrow in their hands. Because sometimes science fiction doesn't predict, it instructs. And the world listens, even when it doesn't realize it. Number 7. George Sewell joined the cast mid-season, and it saved the show. After 13 episodes, the network demanded changes. The moon-base scenes were expensive. The purple wigs drew more attention than the stories. They wanted more Earth-based action, more car chases, more fights. Less space opera, more spy thriller. Anderson resisted until the budget proved them right. Moon-base sets cost a fortune. So he pivoted. Enter Colonel Alec Freeman, played by Sewell, Straker's second-in-command and the only person who could make him smile. Sewell was a veteran actor with a face like worn leather and a delivery that felt real, unpolished. He didn't look like a science fiction actor. He looked like someone's uncle who happened to work in secret defense. And that's exactly what the show needed. His chemistry with Ed Bishop was instant. Where Straker was cold, Freeman was warm. Where Straker calculated, Freeman improvised. They played off each other like old friends, and suddenly UFO had a heart. Sewell improvised constantly. Little gestures, jokes, reactions that weren't in the script. Anderson let him run. Some of the best moments in the second half of the series came from Sewell just being himself. He grounded the show, made it human. And when the series ended, fans didn't remember the explosions or the aliens. They remembered Straker and Freeman, two men holding the world together with scotch and stubborn loyalty. Sewell did that, and he never got the credit. Number 8. The Interceptors were death traps. Those sleek silver spacecraft that launched from the moon to destroy UFOs? Beautiful on screen, nightmares in real life. The cockpit models were tiny, barely big enough for one person. Actors had to squeeze in, bent at awkward angles, helmets scraping the roof. The harnesses didn't fit properly. The control panels were sharp metal edges. During one shoot, an actor leaned forward too fast and sliced his hand open on a prop lever, blood everywhere. They stopped filming, patched him up, and kept going. The model ships used for special effects shots were even worse. Rigged with explosives for the battle scenes, they'd detonate on cue, sending shrapnel across the studio. One pyrotechnic blast went wrong, and a piece of burning plastic flew into a cameraman's face. He dodged just in time, but after that, Anderson banned anyone from standing within 10 feet of a model during explosion shots. They set up remote cameras instead. The Interceptors looked incredible in the final cut. Sleek, fast, futuristic. But every shot came with risk. Cuts, burns, near misses. And the actors who sat in those cramped cockpits, sweating under hot lights and ill-fitting helmets, knew the truth. Those ships weren't just fighting aliens on screen. They were fighting physics, safety, and common sense. And somehow, everyone survived. Barely. Number 9. The show's budget ran out with 4 episodes left to film. No warning, no emergency funding, just an accountant walking into Anderson's office and saying, "We're done." The network had overspent on other projects. UFO was bleeding money on special effects. The math didn't work. Anderson went silent. He'd built 22 episodes, scripts ready for 26, 4 stories unfilmed. He called the writers, the cast, the crew. "We're finishing this," he told them. They shot the final 4 episodes in 10 days. No retakes, no elaborate effects, minimal sets. Actors wore the same costumes across multiple episodes because wardrobe couldn't afford new pieces. The scripts were rewritten to take place mostly in single locations, offices, control rooms, places they had already built. Dialogue replaced action. Close-ups replaced wide shots. It should have been a disaster. But something strange happened. Those final 4 episodes are some of the best in the series. Stripped of spectacle, forced to focus on character, the stories became intimate, tense, human. The actors had room to breathe, the writing sharpened, and when the series ended, it didn't feel like it ran out of money. It felt like it had said everything it needed to say. Anderson later admitted running out of budget was the best thing that happened to the show. It forced him to stop hiding behind effects and trust the story. Sometimes, limitations make you better, and UFO proved it. Number 10. The cancellation had nothing to do with ratings. UFO pulled decent numbers, especially in the later time slot. Fans were loyal, critics respected it. Renewal seemed likely. Then the network made a decision that killed it. They moved the show again, this time to Saturday afternoons, a graveyard slot for repeats and forgotten programming. Anderson was furious. Saturday afternoon meant families, kids, casual viewers who'd never seen the show before. They'd tune in mid-season, confused by ongoing storylines, alienated by the show's dark tone. It was suicide, and the network knew it. They wanted UFO gone, not because it was bad, but because they had committed to another science fiction series, something cheaper, easier to produce. Hit it. So they buried UFO in a time slot designed to fail, then pointed to the dropping ratings as proof it didn't work. Anderson fought. He pitched a second season, new storylines, reduced budgets. The network said no, and just like that, UFO was over. 26 episodes, one season, dead in a time slot it never belonged in. Years later, an executive admitted it was strategic. They wanted the slot for something else. UFO was collateral damage. And the fans, the cast, the crew, they never got closure. Just a cancellation disguised as ratings failure, and a time slot that buried a show that deserved so much more. Number 11. The aliens were never explained. 26 episodes, dozens of attacks, crashed UFOs, recovered bodies, and not once did the show reveal who they were or why they came. It wasn't a mystery, it was a choice. Anderson wanted the threat to remain unknown, unknowable. The moment you explain aliens, he argued, they become less terrifying. So the show kept them shadows. Humanoid figures in green suits and helmets. Silent, faceless. They didn't speak, didn't negotiate. Just attacked, abducted, and vanished. Writers pitched backstory episodes. Where do they come from? What do they want? Anderson rejected all of them. The ambiguity was the point. SHADO spent every episode fighting an enemy they couldn't understand. And that uncertainty bled into everything. Straker made decisions based on incomplete information. Plans failed because nobody knew the alien strategy. Early fans hated it. Letters demanded answers, explanations, closure. But as the series aged, the ambiguity became its strength. Because real threats don't come with explanation. Real enemies don't pause to monologue. UFO understood something most science fiction forgot. Fear lives in the unknown. And by keeping the aliens mysterious, faceless, silent, the show created a tension that never broke. 50 years later, fans still debate what the aliens wanted. And that debate keeps the show alive. Because Anderson knew the truth. The moment you answer the question, the story dies. So, he never answered. And UFO stayed dangerous forever. Number 12. The skydiving sequence almost killed someone. Episode 9 featured an elaborate action scene where SHADO operatives parachute from an aircraft to intercept a UFO landing site. They hire professional skydivers, rigged cameras to helmets, planned every angle. On the day of the shoot, weather looked perfect. Clear skies, light wind. The first 2 jumps went flawlessly. Then the third diver's parachute malfunctioned. The main chute tangled, twisted. He went into a spin, plummeting. The reserve chute deployed just in time, jerking him hard enough to crack ribs. He landed rough, miles off target in a farmer's field. The film crew lost radio contact. Panic spread. They called emergency services, sent vehicles searching. An hour later, they found him. Bruised, bleeding, but alive. He refused medical evacuation, said he'd finish the shoot once he caught his breath. Anderson shut it down immediately. No more jumps. They rewrote the sequence using ground shots, models, and editing tricks. The final version looks seamless, but only 3 of the planned 7 jumps actually happened. The rest, movie magic and desperation. The diver recovered fully, but never worked on UFO again. Anderson banned skydiving from all future episodes, calling it too unpredictable, too dangerous. And the actors, watching from below as a man nearly died for a television show, never forgot. Some scenes aren't worth the risk. Some shots cost too much. And UFO learned that lesson the hardest way possible. Number 13. Wanda Ventham hated her first script. She'd been cast as Colonel Virginia Lake, a recurring character in the second half of the season. Strong, intelligent, Straker's equal. But when she read her debut episode, she was furious. The script had Lake making coffee, filing reports, acting as a secretary. Ventham stormed into Anderson's office. "You told me this was a real role," she said. Anderson looked at the script, agreed it was garbage, and promised to fix it. He didn't rewrite. He let Ventham improvise. During filming, she ignored the weak dialogue, played Lake as if the script said something better. She barked orders, challenged Straker, took control of scenes, and it worked. The director loved it. Bishop loved it. Ventham rewrote her character through performance, and Anderson let her. Future scripts adapted. Lake stopped being a background character and became essential. Sharp, uncompromising, the only person who could call Straker out on his nonsense. Ventham later said, UFO taught her that actors don't have to accept bad writing. If the character is strong, you make the words match. She fought for Lake in every episode, pushing back on scripts that softened her, refusing to play her as romantic interest or comic relief. And by the end of the series, Lake was a fan favorite. Not because of what was written, but because Ventham refused to settle. Sometimes the best performances come from actors who won't accept what's on the page. Number 14. The car wasn't futuristic. It was a Ford. Ed Straker's iconic gull-wing vehicle, the one he drove in nearly every Earth-based episode, was just a modified 1970 Ford Zephyr. The production designer took a stock car, ripped out the doors, installed custom gull-wing mechanisms, painted it metallic, and called it futuristic. It cost a fraction of building a custom vehicle. And it looked incredible. The gull-wing doors made it feel exotic, expensive, but the car was a nightmare. The doors jammed constantly. The mechanisms broke mid-shoot. Bishop had to crawl out through the window more than once because the doors refused to open. During one scene, the door opened mid-drive, nearly flying off the hinges. They had to stop traffic on a public road. Gerry rigged the mechanism and finished the shot hours later. The interior was stock Ford. Nothing futuristic, just a steering wheel, dashboard, normal seats. Close-ups hid it. Wide shots sold the illusion, and audiences believed it. Fan letters asked where to buy one. Car enthusiasts tried to track down the manufacturer. Nobody guessed it was just a Ford with fancy doors. After filming wrapped, the car was sold to a private collector. It spent decades in a garage, doors still broken, paint fading. In 2005, someone restored it, fixed the mechanisms, brought it to conventions, and fans lined up to see it, touch it, sit inside. Because it wasn't just a car, it was the future, even if it started as a Ford. Number 15. The lunar sets were built from leftovers. When Anderson started designing Moonbase, the budget was already tight, so the art department scavenged. Computer panels came from junked military equipment. The command chairs were modified barber chairs from a closed salon. The transparent desks were perspex sheets balanced on chrome legs borrowed from a furniture showroom. Even the iconic Moonbase dome was a repurposed industrial tank, cut in half, painted white. Nothing was custom except the purple wigs. And somehow, it looked expensive. The scrap materials gave the sets a utilitarian feel, like this was a working base, not a showroom. The actors helped. They treated the props like they worked, pressed buttons with purpose, sold the illusion through performance, and viewers bought it completely. Critics praised the production design, calling it innovative, ahead of its time. Meanwhile, the art department was held together with duct tape and prayers. One set piece collapsed mid-shoot. They rebuilt it during lunch. By the end of the season, the Moonbase sets were falling apart, literally. But on screen, they looked pristine, eternal. Anderson built a future from garbage and made it beautiful. Because sometimes the best art comes from making something from nothing. Number 16. The show created a generation of aerospace engineers. Decades after UFO aired, interviews with NASA engineers, SpaceX designers, satellite technicians revealed something strange. Many of them watched UFO as children. The show planted ideas, not just entertainment, inspiration. The sleek spacecraft, the moon base operations, the idea that humanity could organize, defend, expand beyond Earth. Kids who watched Commander Straker coordinate global defense dreamed of doing the same. They studied physics, engineering, joined space programs. Some admitted UFO was the reason. The show treated space as workplace, not adventure. The moon wasn't a destination, it was headquarters. That shift in perspective, from exploration to habitation, influenced how a generation thought about space. The props helped. The handheld communicators, the computer interfaces, the way characters interacted with technology like it was normal every day. Children absorbed it, and when they grew up, they built it. The International Space Station's design shares DNA with Moonbase. The control room layouts, the modular construction, even the crew rotations. Engineers who worked on ISS admitted they referenced UFO during planning phases. Not officially, just as touchstone. And mission control centers worldwide, the banks of screens, the coordinated responses, the calm under pressure, all of it echoes SHADO headquarters. UFO didn't predict the future, it trained the people who built it. And 50 years later, the show's legacy isn't in television history, it's orbiting above us. Number 17. Bishop and Sewell hated each other at first. On screen, Straker and Freeman were brothers in arms. Off screen, Bishop and Sewell clashed immediately. Different acting styles, different approaches, different rhythms. Bishop was precise, methodical, wanted every line perfect. Sewell was loose, improvisational, trusted instinct. During rehearsals, they'd argue, Bishop demanded consistency. Sewell demanded freedom. Scenes turned tense. The crew noticed. Anderson worried. Then something shifted. During a particularly heated scene, both actors stopped mid-argument and started laughing. They realized they were fighting about characters fighting. The meta-absurdity of it broke the tension. After that, they leaned in, used the friction, channeled it into performance. Their on-screen chemistry became electric because the underlying tension was real. Straker's frustration with Freeman's casual attitude, Freeman's exhaustion with Straker's rigidity, all of it rooted in genuine actor conflict. It gave their scenes edges, unpredictability. You never knew if they'd support each other or explode. By the end of the season, Bishop and Sewell had become actual friends. The fight had been creative, not personal. They'd pushed each other to better performances. Years later, Bishop called Sewell one of the best scene partners he'd ever had, and Sewell said the same. Because sometimes the best chemistry comes from collision, and UFO turned conflict into art. Number 18. The theme music was almost replaced. Barry Gray composed the iconic UFO theme, those haunting electronic tones that opened every episode. The network hated it. Too weird, they said. Too avant-garde. They wanted something traditional, orchestral, safe. Gray refused to change it. He'd spent months crafting those sounds, using new synthesizer technology, building something that felt alien, futuristic. Anderson backed him completely. This is what the future sounds like, he told the network. They fought for weeks. The network brought in another composer, commissioned a replacement theme. Full orchestra, sweeping strings, generic. They played it for Anderson. He listened in silence and said no. Gray's theme stayed. The network gave up. And when the show aired, that theme became instant. Viewers recognized it immediately. The eerie opening notes, the building tension, the sense of something approaching. It set the tone before a single image appeared. Critics called it innovative. Musicians studied it. Other shows copied it. And decades later, that theme remains one of the most recognizable pieces of television music ever created. Electronic, cold, beautiful. The network wanted safe. Gray gave them future. And he was right. Because sometimes the weird choice is the only choice. And Barry Gray knew it from the first note. He didn't write a theme. He wrote a warning. And everyone who heard it remembered. Number 19. The final episode wasn't meant to be final. The Psychobombs was written as mid-season filler, not a series closer. But when the network canceled the show, there was no time to film a proper ending. So, that's what fans got. A story about brainwashed operatives and paranoia, ending on an ambiguous freeze frame. No resolution, no goodbye, just credits. Fans were furious. Letters poured in demanding a real ending. Anderson promised he'd fix it if the show got renewed. It didn't. So UFO ended on a cliffhanger nobody wanted. A final image that resolved nothing. Straker sitting alone, the war continuing, no end in sight. For years it felt incomplete. Then something strange happened. Fans realized the non-ending was perfect, because that's what UFO was about. An endless war, a threat that never stops. Straker doesn't get to retire, doesn't get closure, he just keeps fighting, and ending the series mid-battle without resolution captured that perfectly. It wasn't satisfying, but it was honest. Real wars don't end on schedule. Real threats don't pause for finales. And by refusing to give fans the ending they wanted, UFO gave them the ending that mattered, incomplete, unresolved, true. Anderson never got to film his proper finale, but maybe he didn't need to, because sometimes the story ending too soon is the point. And UFO knew it, even if nobody realized until it was too late. Number 20. The show influenced every science fiction series that came after. Star Trek fans dismiss it, Doctor Who fans ignore it. But the DNA is there. The lived-in technology, the workplace dynamics, the military structure, the ambiguous aliens, all UFO. Gerry Anderson created a template, and everyone borrowed. Babylon 5's Earth Alliance, borrowed from SHADO. The X-Files' paranoid secrecy, borrowed from UFO. Battlestar Galactica's military precision, borrowed from Moonbase. Even modern shows like The Expanse owe debts. The idea that space defense is bureaucratic, complicated, human. That heroes don't always win. That wars don't end cleanly. UFO introduced those concepts to television science fiction. Before UFO, sci-fi was adventure. After UFO, it was occupation, a job, a burden. Characters didn't explore, they defended. And that shift changed everything. Yet UFO gets forgotten. Overshadowed by bigger shows, longer runs, larger budgets. But ask the writers, the directors, the people who make science fiction television, and they'll tell you. They watched UFO, they learned from it, they stole from it. And they built entire careers on ideas Anderson introduced in 26 episodes. UFO didn't become a franchise, it became a foundation. And every space station, every secret base, every commander making impossible choices, they're all echoes of SHADO, all shadows of Straker. And Gerry Anderson, he never got the credit. But the legacy lives anyway, because influence doesn't need recognition, it just needs to exist. And UFO exists in everything that came after. Bonus fact, after the show ended, the sets weren't destroyed, they were recycled. The Moonbase became a disco set for another production. The SHADO mobile units were repainted and used in a cop show. Even Straker's car showed up in a British crime drama, gold-wing doors intact. Nothing went to waste. Anderson couldn't afford to scrap anything, so the future got dismantled piece by piece and rebuilt into other stories, other worlds. Fans visiting studios in the 1970s would recognize props, claim they saw a UFO set piece in the background of some random show. And they were right. The interceptor cockpits became escape pods. The Moonbase chairs showed up in nightclub scenes. Straker's desk became someone's office in a completely different series. UFO didn't just end, it scattered. Pieces of it living on in dozens of forgotten productions. Invisible, but present. And somewhere in a storage warehouse, behind decades of dust and forgotten props, parts of Moonbase still exist. Not as museum pieces, just as leftovers, waiting. Because in television, nothing truly dies. It just gets repainted and rolled out again. And UFO, the show that predicted mobile phones and inspired aerospace engineers, ended up as furniture in someone else's scene, which somehow feels perfect. Because the future doesn't belong to anyone, it just keeps moving. And UFO taught us that from the very first frame, very first frame, very first frame, very first frame.